Happy Monday. Welcome back to Retake the Week. Man, what a weekend down under it was. I mean, what an event. Firstly, try to keep track of it. I'd wake up and just half the day's gone, right? Like half the games have been played, and sometimes I was lucky and things massively overran and I could watch a good day or so of CS, but for the most part, yeah, missed a lot of the CS. Had to watch it in like catch up, download a demo. I've been loving. So now that, it used to be like Vladapod would upload highlights, right? Like that channel would upload highlights of games. I'd occasionally watch them, especially when, back in the day when you had a lot of games going on for like a pro league or something. It was helpful. But now that the actual event pages have started posting themselves, like IEM, ESL, sorry, everyone just does their own ones to try and get that ad revenue, that sweet, sweet money. I've been watching a few of them on there every now and then, and it's just the entire game, basically, with very little exception. Like, there is so little they cut from the actual rounds that are gun rounds that you might as well watch almost the entire game on it. You skip all the halftime breaks, you skip in between map breaks, you skip so much nonsense that usually on a VOD you have to fucking tap through to get. It's kind of silly, but I mean, very helpful, especially when games start at 4 in the damn morning and you just can't be asked to watch it. But Quack, welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
Wow. How have you been catching up with the games? You've been doing the same thing as me, watching highlights, or have you been just watching what's available?
I've mostly anything that was before 9 a.m. I just didn't bother with, and then
Skipped entirely.
Skipped entirely. It doesn't matter. The match page is gonna do enough, and then if anything crazy happens, it's gonna be on Twitter. But like for the playoffs, most of the games were. I think the first match was 9 a.m. So I could like tune into that, check it out, watch a couple of maps, while I'm doing my thing, whatever I'm doing at 9 a.m.
Whoa! I didn't know such a hip, cool daddy-o with me.
Doing my thing.
I can't.
So yeah, no, I haven't been
with you.
working. I haven't been working. I didn't need to cover the games. I've had a decent chance at watching the game. Caught the final.
Right. That's
Part of
yeah.
the final.
I know you immediately hit me with I've got a lot of takes on this final. I'm going to have so much to say, so I'm excited to hear all your grand final takes.
Mostly the last map, but yeah.
Oh lord, okay. It's only a BF5, lads. Don't worry. But yeah, the show can't start without us thanking, of course, the most important people, the people who we keep missing by a week on the Q&A. But thank you to the members. Members get access to a bunch of stuff. We got more of this stuff coming today, actually. So that'll be interesting. Prospects related, but also King's Court. Very interesting discussion, I'm sure it will be. It's not been recorded yet, but I'm sure it'll be very interesting. BTS and prospect demos, as well as the right to vote. And higher tier members also get access to a show that is very rare. It needs to be scheduled with contributors when contributors want to come in and make a show happen. They get to dictate the topics. They get to tell me whatever they think. It helps if you actually use them at the Discord I've set up if you're a contributor, because that way I can actually see who you are and talk to you, because I don't really know how to do that through YouTube. Like, I'm not a groomer. I don't know how YouTube works for that. So, oh, come on, Quack. Who's going to know how to talk to a kid on a fucking, like, a shorts platform? It's a groomer, and I don't know how to do that. So hit me up on the Discord. Contributors get access to special pages just for contributors, as well as members pages, so yeah. But let's get into the show.
Hit me up on the Discord. Alright, no, yeah, it's Counter-Strike.
Yeah, do you have anything to promote, anything you've done, any work you're proud of?
Just sponsor us again. Yeah. No. This I had I've done a lot of social media, and actually I felt like a good social media admin today, because we've revolutionized our working process over at eastplay.com, and our output of content will triple, surely.
It won't.
Metrics are up. Give me photos of Spider-Man.
It never does it?
Yeah. It's yeah, no. I mean, sorry, I streamed on Saturday. I streamed for the first time in ever.
Yeah, I saw the
I did a
announcement.
5-hour.
I ignored it. Like, what was that?
I played CS. I played CS for 5 hours. That was it. Most of it was in Swedish, because I wanted to get some games in on eastplay.com. But it was fun to stream again, and we had some people come in, and some people I haven't seen before, some people I have seen before. It was really nice, and I want to do it more, and I want to play other games, and I want to play a lot of stuff. And I've said this before, but this week I'm actually doing it, so there's going to be a stream sometime this week. Follow me, quacke CS on Twitch.
Or don't. It's cool. It's cool.
Fuck.
Obviously, follow Quack. I'm sure he'll be able to share all his harebrained ideas and special quack pipe hits with you live and direct. So yeah, let's get into the Counter-Strike. Obviously, the lower third that's been up the entire time because I forgot about the Happy Monday one. ZywOo completes the game. That's the big one. He didn't have a Grand Slam. He now has one. What more does he need? What more does he need to really be happy, content with his career? I guess just to keep dominating, have a true like dominating era. I guess we can assign that to a team, but also we can assign that to an individual. Just tell ZywOo, yeah, this is your era, Vitality's era. But man, Grand Final was all 5 maps, and after map 1, I mean, this is the same thing that happened with the Mao's final for Vitality. After map 1, you're kind of like, all right, this should be easy. Not so much though, not so much. All 5 maps, triple OT on map 5. A really back and forth series. Look, I think Vitality, they showed us in the semi-final that, yeah, if you're not up to the task of maneuvering around the map as much as they do, finding all the gaps the way they do, being aware of your own like holes, but then also hitting every shot. If you're not aware of all that stuff, keyed in on all the details, you're going to struggle. And I think Falcons did a pretty good job after map 1 of staying on top of things in terms of their map awareness. I think they've got the players for it, and that's what's really showing is that Vitality, whilst they have figured it out as a team, Falcons individually did have something going. They had that awareness of how Vitality would going to challenge them, because I'm sure they haven't been able to just hard anti-prep them in like the time they've had. Like, there's not just hard anti-strat, it is just a lot of just really high-level CS players playing great CS, and in some cases hitting some absolutely ridiculous shots. Quack, you said you had a lot to say about this. Lead us off. Vitality, what went wrong for it to, be so close? But also, what did they do right to get it over the line?
I think what went wrong is regular. I think a lot of it is nerves, because they do still have some nerves, and I think on several of the maps,
each,
yeah, like on some of the maps, like ZywOo was missing some shots, and we talk about this. Like ZywOo misses some shots sometimes. He misses some important shots, particularly in big arena games. A lot of players do that. I think Flamesy didn't show up in the same way that we might expect from him these days in an arena, and I think some of the gameplay in a couple of the rounds looked a bit stressed from Vitality. Like that one Monacy clutch with the Tech 9, where Vitality could have closed the game. Messi, I mean, he's stressed. He doesn't really. He could have won that, but like, yeah. So I think that's why it ends up being close. But even if that is like a mental thing, Vitality have always had a mental problem. I think a lot of the time throughout the years, no matter what Vitality roster, it's been even way back. It's like it feels like they're tilting. It feels like sometimes they get pissed off and then they just play out the rest of the game like just like fuck it, like whatever. And even the players have said this, like they overestimate themselves, they underestimate their opponent, they like go into a grand final after destroying everything and they take it too easy. Like they've always had some of these mental things. I think they've fixed that, because there's this team was down 6-12 on the final map.
Lord, yeah.
Took it back to 12-12. So that's already like you've already been in a super tough situation. After 4 whole ass maps, you're down 6-12 and you go like, all right, we can still win this, and they win it. They take it to overtime. They then go 18-15 up. And they lose 3 straight map points. And like the first 2 rounds, ZywOo had up. Both of them, like, he misses a round changing shot. I can't. The first one I think was when he pushed down into secret, and he misses a shot on Nico, and like absolutely gives away that the op is in secret. Falcons immediately readjust and try to hit inner instead. And then the round after that, he's up in heaven. He misses a shot when they're actually taking A. He dies for it after already losing the opening, and they lose the side. Like it's over. It's like, so then he moves on to the rifle. He's immediately better, but like they lose that round as well. They go from 18-15 to 18-18. that at that point I was like, at that point I was sitting in my couch and I was like, if Falcons win this, like Falcons should win this now. They took it back from 15-18 to 18-18. If Vitality win this, they're the best team in the world by far, because I think there's few other teams who could have gotten over that mental hurdle, especially after so many maps and so many hours of playing in the arena. So I think that was my main takeaway, because I felt like if this was a Vitality game a year ago, or if this was a Vitality game 3 years ago or 5 years ago, never in a million years would they have been able to handle losing those map points or being 6-12 down. Like, never in a million years. Like, so in that sense, it's a different kind of Vitality. And I actually hope it's here to stay, because that's a Vitality I like watching. Like a Vitality who actually feel like the best team in the world.
Yeah, on the idea of this sort of qualifying them to be this great team, this special team, because they didn't win it easy. They had to go through a lot of struggle. They down on various maps. Like, honestly, I agree with that comment Polar Bear just made. Every map other than map 1, like, and the final overtime, it felt like Vitality were on the back foot. And I remember watching, I was thinking this something similar at times. Like, some of it might have been like a bit of a warped perception, because in reality, 7-5 train halftime shouldn't be feeling kind of awkward about Vitality, but we got so used to seeing them being so dominant and seeing some fight back, seeing the other team winning big clutches, individuals hitting crazy shots was a bit, it took me aback. But that's the important part of this that you touched on. Because Saad brought this up, I think, in a hot take point made. It's like, everyone wants to crown them, but they haven't won hard yet. They haven't had a difficult series. And that struck me as a bit odd, because I was like, yeah, I guess. But if they just always win easy for the rest of time, are we going to go, no, still can't call them the best? They haven't had a good challenge. Like, bro, if you're just the greatest, literally ever, and no one can touch you. But no, we saw in this series exactly the principle he was pushing. Like, the idea, tested by a team with individuals who are stunning, a roster that was, had everyone firing, and Kicksan calling a really solid game at times, making a lot of really interesting plays. This was a really challenging game where they did look stunned at various points. They were getting hit with heavy counter punches that were just stunning them, dazing them. They had to keep fighting back, maybe like, if you want to talk full boxing analogy, they were knocked up against the ring, had to dodge a few, slip a few, come back out, circle round, re-establish position. Like, they had a lot to do to win this series, and they managed to get it done. So no, that is a huge achievement for them, and I understand when a lot of people, it solidifies them as a legit number 1. Like, this isn't just a team who storms through, sweeps everyone away, but as soon as they get challenged a bit, they're going to fall apart. No, they kept it together, despite a few rounds where you're right, where it looked like maybe ZywOo flinched a bit. Flame Z, I think, on T side was awful. And that's not something we're used to seeing in this Vitality. Even last year, for the most part, Vitality could rely on a Flame Z T side. He was dreadful. And I think that's one of the times where I'm really happy to be like, yeah, okay, I'll critique someone on Vitality properly. I always think some players get too much stick on Vitality. Flame Z correctly is being ascribed a lot of blame for some of their struggles. But look, I think we're going to be talking about this team in Austin, obviously as heavy favourites. There's a lot of events still to play in between. Let me just check. Yeah, they are playing Dallas as well as Blast rivals before they show up in Austin. And so are Falcons, so we'll have to monitor that situation. But right now that they have been tested, they've had their bell rung and they've still come through. Do you believe they're just going to sweep through this entire season? Or do you think maybe they take the foot off the gas, give up an event like Rivals, maybe don't play it to the max? Or is this just, set in stone, Vitality season outright?
I don't get the feeling they're taking the foot off the gas. I mean, every team always says that. Like, no, we're not done. Like, there's nothing, and like they say the same thing. Everybody always says it. But I think they've always had sights set on Austin. And we've seen that pay dividends for Vitality before. Like, as much as the Paris major, maybe I won't say it was handed to them. It was definitely easier than a lot of other majors.
Yeah,
every other major.
You don't typically get to play GamerLegion in the grand final of a major. You don't typically get to play Apex
0
in the
top
semi-final.
10 teams.
You typically don't get to play Into the Breach
teams.
in the quarterfinal. Like, you don't typically get that kind of run. As you said, no top 10 teams, but I guess they were all the hype. They swept through the groups. Like, they were
Yeah,
They were dominant.
we've heard them talk about it. The fact that for the entire season, the only goal was Austin. So even while like G2 had the Katowice in the World Final, which was like put them up top, and then Heroic had like that streak of 6 or 7 straight Grand Finals. I think they had the odd event win in the spring season there as well. Vitality just kind of went through it, and they came in as like a top 3 favorite. But they like everybody said that like the only thing we were thinking about the entire season was winning Paris. Like we've been planning for this since January, basically. So having that, I think that's what they're doing for Austin as well, and I think they've just hit the ground running. Like I think the input that Rops is having is huge, both on the server and out of it, and I think that's making a big difference. So I think I'm not sure if they'll sweep the entire rest of the year because this was a difficult series, and Falcons did this with very little.
I'm just saying up to Austin. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Like,
even then, if it's like Dallas and Rivals. Rivals is such a... I don't know what to think about Rivals. It's such a top-heavy event.
If there's anything they will screw up, I mean, these 2 events are perfect for it, right? Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of travel still involved. Last Rivals feels a bit weird, funky. Like, I don't know.
Dallas is also pretty top-heavy. Dallas is also like strangely top-heavy. I would. Yeah, there's like maybe 6 or 7 teams who even could win Dallas realistically. I don't know. I'll say I think maybe they don't sweep those next 2 events. Maybe not, because Falcons are high, and they did this with very little time to prepare with Munacy. It was a pretty short notice thing. I don't think they practiced for... Somebody said they had a single practice day. That's not true. I think their coach said that they had...
The yap we were hearing on broadcast, I feel like, was somewhere between 1.5 and 3 days. They actually had with Munacy. That's what the broadcast was saying. It might have been wrong.
Yeah,
but...
I think their manager said it was like a week. But maybe there was like travel and media involved or something, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like, maybe he meant that they had him for a week and not like... Yeah. Regardless, I think they're good up there. I think Mouse are still up there, even with how Falcons kind of handed it to them. And then Spirit is a bit of a... Spirit, again, have taken this weird little break where we don't really see them, and I think they're still absolutely a factor. They haven't played anything in April. And they're going to play Rivals, which is...
Weird.
You know... Yeah, I mean, they take these breaks. They did last season as well.
Yeah.
And it happens. So...
Yeah, it didn't magically make them super good, but it's a thing. You know, we're kind of a bit unsure on what they are and how they're going to look, and maybe they'll have really hardcore anti-stratted. But yeah, we'll get to that. Before we move on from the grand final, though, we have to talk about the other side of it. We just have to, because you know, Falcons made that an incredible series, and that's, you know, the lower third says it. Are they getting close? Like already, we have to talk about it. That's kind of how we have to think about this season now. They've got 2 more events before Austin. Austin's the pinnacle. Do we believe Falcons are already closing in on, you know, upset potential? Are the odds starting to shift towards them? I personally have a very different take on what I saw, but I don't know how you feel about it. Do you think Falcons are now like looming, threatening? Because Vitality, up till this point, you know, we're kind of talking about them. It's them, Spirit on their day, Mouse can give them a good run. Realistically, they're heavy favorites. Is this a team that's got the firepower and the play, like the level of play, in terms of coordination, strategy, calling, just the brain power involved behind the players, to make it happen against Vitality with any consistency or any predictability?
Oh, God. I'd probably say not right now. I feel like there's another cycle which needs to happen for Falcons. And that's not to say that this is like a honeymoon period, but I feel like stuff with teams like this, it sort of develops where I think if I'm going to make a sweeping prediction for how the next 2 years are going to look, I think we're going to look back on this time as like the first time Falcons showed something. They have a bit of a dip, other teams are strong, and in that time they build up, they solidify. There might be a roster change or whatever, and then they sort of spring into action, so to speak, and that's when we start to talk about them as a real contender. Jesus, what was that?
Sorry, that was me shutting my my window door. because there was a giant like bin truck or something like driving past. I was like, that's going to get annoying. So I just
I didn't have the camera open, and I thought like, did he pass out or what? Like, did he?
Such an absurd
yeah,
take that I just fainted in rage. Yeah.
Yeah, just lost consciousness. No, I think they're gonna start to hit struggles, and the lack of practice. They didn't look disjointed to me, but there's probably an element of like uncoordination, which that stuff sometimes works to your advantage. Like sometimes being if you get lucky enough where that stuff still works out, the uncoordinated moments, a bit random moments, that could be unpredictable, which is an advantage. So like I think there's elements to that. They fumbled a couple rounds. There's still like a couple of rounds where I feel like they're giving stuff away. If like for nuke CT side, Apex was giving away opening frags every single round, and they still lost 6 in a row. So like there's still stuff to work on. I think we'll see them stronger for the fall season. That's when I'll start to think that like, oh shit, Falcons can win Budapest. They can win Austin, but like I'm not gonna put them. I'm not gonna put them top 3 to win Austin. Maybe I would, but not. Okay, I'm not gonna put them where I would consider it realistic, which I guess would be top 2. I think it's still Vitality, Spirit.
Okay, I'm entirely on the honeymoon train here.
Could be that as well. Yeah.
I watched Falcons this year. Just put it that way. I watched who Tessis, Kixan, and Magisk were surrounding Nico without a Munacy involved. Now, I get Munacy tends to bring a lot to the table in terms of ideas and like comms. Maybe he's somehow elevated their play by adding something in that aspect. But realistically, what I think this is a massive overperformance by some of those players. Like even Magisk, as much as he was a massive liability, Map 5 has some incredible plays and some incredible shots that help keep them alive. Like overall, he's still pretty bad, and I understand the urge to go talk about cutting him. And I think we'll have a little bit of a chat about possible roster moves in a minute. But I've not seen this from Kixan in a long time. Tessis, whilst he had a great start to the year, took a big dip, and now seems to have found another spike. I'm not going to be able to rely on that, realistically. Tessis event to event. Having this level of output just doesn't seem predictable, doesn't seem reliable. But for me, this is a case of we've brought a player in, we didn't have much time to prep. We're going to do a lot of looser calling in terms of who's calling and what we're calling. Like, we're going to get ideas from different places, see who's feeling what, and that's it. I do like seeing this level from Tessis. When Tessis is flowing and he's on his game, he is so clean. And he's exactly who he's like kind of sold to be as when people talk about like, oh, like I think Maui loves his spray, and then sometimes you see him aiming, you're like, oh, this guy used to be one of the best aimers in Denmark. And you're like, yeah, I can see it here. But when they were having that down period where it was Nico or bust, literally Nico or bust, where was this guy? I watched the games. All of a sudden, Tessis can't win a 1v3. He can't shut down entire bomb sites by himself. He can't hit all these shots. So I'm not going to be able to rely on that, I don't think, in the coming months. So I do expect them to do pretty much what you've said, where it's like they're going to take a bit of a dip. I expect them to still be like a top 4 team, though. Honestly, just with the firepower, the quality of play they have now, I expect them to be top 4 at most events. I just don't think this is a realistic projection of how they're going to be able to play in terms of matching up with Vitality so powerfully. Like, that's very unlikely to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure where to put them at the moment, but I think what they've built is also there's also an element to this which I think this is kind of G2 again, like the last good G2 we had, which was they're so top heavy where they have all the talent, they have all of the talent, experience, and skill for when things click. They're the best team in the world, but it's like not to the same degree as with the Snacks G2. But what the Snacks G2 did was it sacrificed a lot of other elements, which meant it wouldn't you would never find consistency out of that. But like when you had mobs, Heavy God, Nico, Mondesi hitting, of course they're the best team in the world, and I think we said this on the show. So like when it hits, like when it clicks, that's unbeatable. It's just you're never ever
that
going to get
exact combo,
consistency
it
out of
was
the team.
if it ever clicked. Like that was
Yeah,
more the case. Less than
did
when it
occasionally.
does, because it really didn't. Like they didn't win anything. Like with Heavy God,
They won a couple of events. And they looked pretty good doing it. But
Am I-
that's sort
am
of
I-
what I mean. Like,
am I going
won 2
crazy
events.
with Heavy God? Why am I going so blank in the head?
Sorry, no, Heavy Go Join. Sorry, no,
Yeah.
I meant the fall season. My bad.
Okay, phew. I was going crazy. I was like, this year? What the hell?
No, last year.
Which
Okay.
events have I missed?
Still, like last year, when stuff hits, that's when they win the blast events, and that's when they win, and that's when they can like sweep a final. Like, and Falcons is gonna have the same thing, mostly because it's the same players. They have the potential where I absolutely think Kingston is a better IGL than Snacks.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous at all.
Not at all. So they absolutely have the potential to make it happen consistently. This early on, maybe not. This early on, I think they're going to look more like a kind of Snacks G2.
The question is, would Kicksan ever be the IGL to break out of this sort of looser calling? Because he has historically been known to be a little looser. Like, the way Nertz was allowed to play in his teams was a little bit more like free. Like, kind of a Nico's going to be that player, and Nico's going to be vocal. Especially on CT side, is what we've been told, is where he likes to chat. But, like, on T side, the way he controls the space he's in, the way he plays, the pace, like, changes. Like, there's clearly an element of Nico, like, calling his own number almost between, like, in a default, if he's going to actually lurk, if he's actually going to challenge. Like, I'm not sure Tessus wants to break out that system, but look, this is where we get into the roster move conversation. Kicksan, does he have to be that controlling of an IGL? Does he have to make all the right calls, all the right picks? If they are going to go out and upgrade, probably Magisk at this point. Possibly.
I mean, I'd say
there's
so.
conversation about Tesses as well, about the Kyosuke to Tesses thing. Like, I'm not really sure how much I believe that's going to happen, or want it to happen either. But that's the other point. Like, if he gets another really high level fragger, like another top 10 level fragger, in terms of top 20, does he need to be a great IGL? Because at that point, it's more than G2 ever had, realistically. Like, that's just insane. So what's your take on that? Like, if there's an upgrade to Magisk, let's say it's the bit move we talked about pre-show.
Yeah.
Is it just GG?
It might be. It might honestly be. I think Kickson is doing excellent for how little experience he has, and honestly, how much I didn't put 100% faith into him, even when he went to Falcons, like after Heroic. Yeah, I think he's doing great. Like, I can't really fault him. So if he has to change his style or anything like that, I'm not sure. What was the question? I didn't really get what you want to get out of me. Like,
I'm just talking about, like, does essentially, in terms of Kicksan, currently you talk about it says he snacks, right? Like, he's doing not that much in terms of the calling, because of it's similar to G2. They've got these star players. If they keep upgrading pieces, at what point does he need to take the reins? If this is the way, these are the players they're adding, this is the brain power they already have, this sort of brain trust, can't he just keep calling looser and just win?
I'm not necessarily. You might be right, that's what he's doing. I'm not necessarily saying he's calling like Snacks. I think it's just this early on, you're going to have some uncoordination, and similar to Snacks, he calls things, and more often than they should, they might not work out for other reasons. In Snacks' case, it's because they're shit. In Kickson's case, it's because this is a relatively new team. They're not really, that cohesive yet. So
Right, because the key part I'm trying to address here, because we hear about Snacks interviews where he lets his players dictate certain things.
Yeah.
Like, he's very happy if someone's got an idea or a read on the game to let them do it. Kicksan's got Nico, Monacy, potentially a star player who's just going to be able to come in and just frag as well.
And everything we've heard, that's the kind of player that especially Nico likes. Like, that's the kind of player that Kerrigan has always been, who get... it's the kind of strike I like to watch, and I like to play, and I like when teams do. It's when you basically set the system up to do its job, to put players in the correct situations, and then the players have autonomy to do what they feel is best because you trust their judgment and understanding of the game. So I think that's absolutely the right call to make for this sort of team. I think, yeah. So if that's what Kixen is doing, I haven't heard a lot of talk about that. Him.
I mean, outside of a few set XX, I didn't see that much like strict structure.
No, yeah, and like pairing him with Zonic. Zonic is definitely not that type of guy. That was one of the things with like why Snappy Zonic maybe didn't really work out. We also heard that he barely even applied his theory of the game to the Snappy led lineup. So if they get bit in here, I mean it's an entirely different team, I think, and that's definitely one which is going to be comparable to even the Hooksy led G2 lineup, which is to say ridiculously talented with competent leadership.
And a Fragger for an IGL as well in that case. Because Ted says, yes, Kicksan, we know he isn't that great all the time. But he's a tier above the Hooksy Snacks level IGL fragging, the Snappy level IGL fragging. I don't think so, I know so. I've watched the damn kid play. Like, he is a better fragger.
Oh yeah, he is. He is surely, yeah. But, you know,
it's just a fact.
Rolls. Yeah, but I mean, Brawlan is also a better fragger than Hooksy, but he's dropped a 0.94 this year since he swapped to IGL.
Yeah, that's still higher than Hooksy. That's the point.
Fair.
Plus eyes. They work.
Yeah, plus ice, yeah. So, yeah, I think if we're talking about what moves to make, the report is Kyusuke. The report was that Tessus would be leaving because of roles. Basically, was the Kyusuke move. Supposedly, I think what the report said was that Kyusuke wants the move to happen sooner rather than later into Tier 1, and I think Falcons are the only ones who can make that move because Spirit have signaled they won't.
Yeah, and they also quite rarely have an insane buyout attached to this kid because, of course, you must. Like, I've already floated my number, because when we've talked about this rumor before, right? I floated my 2.5 mil number. Even if I'm wrong and that's too high, it's still too high for most people to go and get that kid. Like, that's way too much money for most people to go buy a child. Like, despite proof of concept in a lot of other elite stars, no one wants to take that risk at that price.
There's only 4 teams who would have an interest in buying Kyusuke, and it would be G2, FaZe, Falcons, and VP. And I think only Falcons could handle the buyout. Even with the 2.5 mil that G2 got from Honesty, I don't think it's happening. So
if roles are the problem, he's not going to want to go to G2 either, unless you're kicking mouths.
But if roles are the problem, then maybe Kyusuke just isn't the player that Falcons need, and maybe they don't do the dumbest thing of all time, which is what NIP did by just signing everybody based on what rating they have the past 3 months, and figuring, well, roles schmoles, you can make it fit. Doesn't matter if you have Brawlan, Hampus, and Rez on the same team with config. Like it's like that sort of idea. If they don't do that, I honestly don't think Kyusuke might come in here, because honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing if Falcons just kept this lineup. The way Tessus is playing, he's absolutely fine. Magisk, he's maybe subpar, but in the terms of what role he plays for the team, in the terms of his relationship to Zonic and Robel and the vocal player that we know he is, and look, if things start flowing for Falcons, I think Magisk absolutely he takes an extra step in his performance. If things start rolling for them, so I would be fine with them keeping the lineup. This is maybe the more realistic move I see, to be honest, because I think there's a lot more circumstances around why he might want to be out of Na'Vi. He's basically the only player on that team who has any sort of standing to be able to say, hey, I have demands to win a major. Like, I demand to win a major, and you guys have failed to give me that team. I'm gonna leave. Like, there's a few other players on Na'Vi who I think would have any sort of credence to do that, and then Falcons would be the only ones who could pay for him. So I think we talked about this pre-show. Bit to Falcons is a move I could see happening. It's one I kind of want to happen, but I could also You're still losing something in Magic. It would be fine if they kept Magics. Whatever happens, I just don't want them to get rid of Tessus. Tessus is great. Tessus is amazing right now. And if he's not on a top 5 team after Austin, I don't know. I'll crash out.
Okay, that's a bit dramatic for a what, a 1.06 rated Fragger this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the most recency bias take I've heard in a long time.
I'm gonna say,
Bro plays one good final, all of a sudden he must be top 5. Like, what? Chill. Chill.
I checked this. Of top 10 teams, both past 3 months, he is one of the top 5 closers by target rating. Like, I'm just saying, both CT and T side. Okay. Among top 10 teams. He's outperformed by Twists, and over the 12 months, he's actually outperformed by 1000, believe it or not. But over the past 3 months, 1000 is dog shit. So that's, I think Lucky edges him out, but Lucky is also not in a top 10 team. Like, they don't play arenas. He outperforms like his peers. I think Spinks edges him out on like CT side, so maybe he's 6th there. But it's like, and it's a narrow gap. We're talking second decimal differences in target rating. Target rating for a closer is not particularly high to begin with. But I'm just saying, the stats agree with my point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
there's
you've got
every
to fit
reason
him
for
into a
Tessus to
top
be on
5 team, which isn't FaZe. But yeah, if he is available in for range, sure. But that's yeah.
Well, I also think there's teams that could use him in combination with other pieces to become a top 5 team. Like, okay. I think FaZe, if FaZe get Tessus, they solve one of their issues, and if they replace Brokey, they solve another.
That move's still to come.
That move is still to come. Yeah. I saw somebody post a poll on Twitter, and it was like, well, who's the best Brokey replacement? Number 1, Fallen. It was like a poll with like, I think Wonderful was on the list, and then the next up was something like fucking Doomau or something. Like, it was like FaZe have 0 pool for top hoppers right now.
Yeah, that's another question. Like, how did FaZe get back into contention? But we're not going to be asking that one today. Up next.
Nope.
This one's a bit... This was a bit of a shame for a lot of people watching the semi-final. And I've dubbed it the Horde versus the Great Wall, because Mongols, once again, facing that mental block, that problem they have, facing the best teams on the big stages. They're just struggling. And the worst part is, they just won a stage series against Liquid, right? And you think Liquid's a pretty big team, but they're not obviously the Goliath of the scene right now. In fact, they're a team, pre-Shuhei move, you could take pretty lightly as Mongols, like relative to a Vitality. But then they come into the Vitality match, and it's unreal, the night and day difference. I mean, not necessarily just with the Liquid series, but versus sometimes when they're rolling in groups or when they're rolling at other events, playing smaller teams. It's shocking. It's really shocking. I'm talking fights where they've called everything right. They've managed to find the gap. A player's got an opportunity. He's got an advantage. He swings. And against everyone else in every other scenario, that's just a clean headshot. That head gets ripped straight off, which, like classic Mongols play, nothing to see here. Mazinho's a beast. Senzu, monster. Instead, it's an awkward body spray that goes a whiff and then they die. And this is getting far too consistent and predictable. But Mongols get into a big series with a big team and just start choking up on their mouse. Just start not hitting the shots, just whiffing and not playing quite as confident as they usually do. And it's becoming, honestly, a bit too repetitive. Like, as much as we say that they're young players that still have this, it's becoming too much, lads. It's becoming too much. I'm starting to get very frustrated with it. The other part of it is, once they do figure it out, what do we see as their real ceiling? But I don't know how much you watched of this Mongols Vitality game specifically, so I don't know if you have any takes on it. I'm ready to break down. For me, I didn't really have too much.
I saw it start, and I was like, oh, I'll tune into this a bit later, and then it was over.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. No, because it was
yeah. Oh, sorry,
honestly
go on.
overall. Not only was, because I was watching this game live, I tweeted a bit about it. Not only were Vitality flowing, and I'm talking, holy crap. They had some moments on Mirage where they are dominating, hitting every shot. But even if they whiffed the shots, if you were paying attention to what they were doing, they had contingency plans ready to go. And my favorite example was on a B hit. Mongols are running a B hit, and you're like, okay, firstly, Vitality have all the info and already have rotated an extra man over. They start taking the hit, they get the trade in. Mezzi and Apex come out the back of sight and go to bench, kind of unnoticed. Apex hides, Mezzi faces, they play a bait and switch just like that, in the midst of an execute, like all this shit's going down. They somehow comment and set it up. Apex hides, Mezzi starts banging heads. He's not even, Apex isn't even required. He just stays crouched at bench and then the round's over. And I'm like, even if Mezzi only goes 1-for-1, even if he goes straight down, there's another player ready to come out and frag. Like, they have another layer prepared. They are so on it in this game. On top of that, just hitting all the shots. So it was a very rough game for Mongols in terms of their own performance, which kind of masked, I think, a lot of the stuff they were doing right on the Vitality side. Because they just seemed to be operating at such a high level in that map. But yeah, their nuke was just bloody hell. Mongols fully choked. Like, as much as Apex having a great time calling, Mongols threw so hard. And they threw away a 3v1 against Rops. And that was just game. For me, that was game. It was far from being actually the end of the map. But for me, that signaled the end. It was like round 6, but that was over. It was all over.
Yeah. I'm not surprised if Mongols have a mental block. We always talk about this team being such a young team. And there's not even somebody who can go like, there's not even that one player who can like relate to playing on big stages. It's gonna be, it's a even for Blitz, it's a first time. Like, of course they've done it a couple of times now. They've won a stage game, versus also a slightly inexperienced side in terms of stage games. I think it was versus Eternal Fire. So it's like, what, Centaurus didn't even play in the Cologne final that Big played. He wasn't there, right? So it's like, they might have had the same ghosts. It's gonna take time, and I think it's gonna take more time than most teams, and I think they know that, and I think they're patient with that. I think like it's gonna be something which they have to figure out sort of on their own. Like, there's not even anybody in the Mongols camp who's like able to say that like, oh yeah, I saw this when I worked with because like Mara didn't do that either. Like, it's an entirely new thing for them. So do they survive at the top for long enough to overcome that issue? I don't know. Is it going to take another year or another 2 years? Like, I have no idea. Maybe they fix it in time for the next event. But I think that it for more than maybe even any other team in history. Literally, maybe more than any other team in history. I think it might be the most difficult barrier for them to overcome. Because I'm even thinking back, like, well, who else was in the same situation? Well, Gambit with the youngsters lineup. Even them, they had Hobbit, like they had Hobbit there, and they had Groove there, and like it's a whole different thing. So hard to say.
Yeah, it's a difficult call to make in terms of at what point they can figure it out. For me, the concern is obviously, even at their best, I didn't think they would have won that game, as I brought up, with all the things that Vitality didn't have to use, didn't have to show, didn't end up being forced into. But certainly, it's a weird conversation to have, because if their non-choking peak would have been top 4 anyway, like, how do we ascribe as much urgency to it? Like, basically tell them they need to be super worried about it. At what point does it become a major issue? If all they're doing is losing to the second best team in the world every now and then, Like they're still winning quarterfinal games. Like they're still able to beat like the non-contenders who are like just in the top 8 sort of at events. They're still able to get those wins like over the line time and time again. So I'm just wondering about how bothered they are by this. Like how much do they believe they should be winning these events? Is that like their view of themselves as they should be major winners this year? Because if they are, then yeah, it's a big issue. If they don't see that, if they still think of themselves as the plucky underdogs making things happen, oh, this is great, we're still playing CS at the top level, it might never get fixed. At least not in time for us to be satisfied. Like, because a lot of us in the spectating audience seem more bothered, perhaps, than they should be.
I think as Peril is pointing out in the chat, let's remember that this is a team from Mongolia. Everything they like, every step they take is the first time a team from their region has done that. Like, it's huge. Like what they've already done is huge, and I think if the Mongols team was to decline and decline and decline, and eventually none of these players ever do anything again, it's not like they're gonna look back on their career and feel like, I'm not happy with that. Like they've already done so much more than anybody else from their region. Like they've already done so much more to beat the odds, so to speak. But of course, they're also competitors. Like they're obviously hungry to always do more. Like it's gonna be, they obviously want to win majors. Like they obviously want to be that team. And I think there's elements to their game, like where they have some of the things, some of the factors, which makes me think like, yeah, this is a future amazing team, because I feel like they have more than any other team. Maybe they just are better at showing it than other team, but I feel like they have more than any other team. They have really good chemistry. They have really good like cohesion inside the team. Like more than any other team, this team, they always look like they're winning every single game. They always, like, every time I see them talk, or I hear them talk, I hear them in interviews, I always feel like, wow, these guys are so comfortable. They must be winning every single series. They must be on an 87-0 streak. Like it's crazy. But you know, maybe that's just who they are. So they need to overcome that barrier. They want to overcome that barrier. Maybe not in exactly this constellation. Maybe not this year. Maybe not even next year. They're gonna overcome that barrier. But I think at some point they are. And like Z said, we gave Mouse a lot of time. They also, similarly to...
They also changed things up a number of occasions, though. Like, the players came in, and then
after
a while, Frozen leaves, and then they cut JC to bring in Yimfat. Like, they tried different things. Like, it wasn't quite so simple.
Yeah. And if you listen to Blitz and all of the people on Mongos, there's a lot of talent to do that in Mongolia as well. If they end up feeling the need to do that, they could do it. So I think they have options. But yeah.
Yeah, there's the Mongolian talent pool is interesting.
As much as you also say that, like they made changes and stuff for Mouse. You also had players who weren't changed, who have also made strides. Like Zershin, I wouldn't say Zershin is as much of a stage choker this year than he has been in the past 2-3 years. So, for one, Torji as well, very good arena player last year. Also a bit of a disappearance when he first started out on Mouse. So
we also did endlessly talk about it though. And so when we say we gave them time, we did also completely rip the shit out of them for not doing better, for choking time and time again. So that's just going to be a part of it. I think that's going to be a very big part of it.
Yep.
But yeah, Mongols just not quite there yet, and it is frustrating. But yeah, I'm sure they'll get there eventually. We do have this is a topic you put in that I'm going to let you lead on. GamerLegion. Now you say they take the next step. Now just making playoffs, that's a huge step for them. But the way they end up losing, a bit alarming. What's your takeaway essentially? What's your read on GamerLegion right now?
I think that what they did here is something much more than they did before, because it's not even the first time they made playoffs at a big event. We had Bucharest. If we're talking this core,
yes.
If we're talking the team in general, well, there's nobody left from there's only Ash left from the major.
Obviously,
but
nothing to talk about that.
Yeah, no. they make it to Bucharest. I think what they've done here is something really special, and you might even say it's slightly fluky, honestly. Like if you look at how they've been, but it's more so. I look at it more as like a step in the right direction, because they bounce back from the MRQ. Like if anything, they prove that the MRQ was just like a mental thing. And they're gonna have those. I think the big loss they take on stage is also a mental thing. I would have penned them to lose to Falcons, but like I would have maybe not taken it to be a 26-7 game, especially not after GamerLegion literally beat Falcons by what 26-3 a couple of weeks ago. So
I mean, back in
that
Bucharest,
mental, yeah. Most of these guys haven't played in arenas like these. Like Splend, ZTR, and PR, and 1000 have never played in an arena like this. It's the first experience for them. So
actually, how long had it been for Rez? Like he'd been out of the big arena match game for a while.
probably not as long as you think, because the thing that GamerLegion social media keeps putting out is that like he made 0 playoffs between 2017 and 2024. And it's like NIP made major playoffs like 3 times with the rest. Like that's absolutely not true. But yeah, it has been a while. I'm gonna see. Let's see, NIP actually got kind of close in Rio 23.
7th, 8th, and Rio is not playoffs.
Fall final, no, yeah, it isn't, but they got kind of close. That's one game off.
Yeah,
fall final 22 is when they went top 4.
Yeah, so
and
that's a big event playoff, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, before that it's Antwerp Major, where they played 1-2 against FaZe with no Opper.
So 3 years, almost 3 years since he was in a big event playoff.
Yeah, IEM Winter was LAN, but it was 2021, so Antwerp was after. Yeah, so that's big. That's big for him, but that's like he would handle that. GamerLegion have shown so much good stuff. Like they've upset better teams several times this year. I mentioned the Falcons game. We've seen them play really close against other teams. We saw them do really well in Katowice, where they go out to Spirit. But they beat Mouse there. They've played and they play solid against solid teams. Like they win the games they should. They had that big win against Falcons. They made playoffs in Bucharest. Like it's stepping up. And then I think IEM Melbourne playoffs, big arena playoffs, while beating FaZe to make it there. Like FaZe in an elimination series. FaZe are weak at the moment, and it's a close game. But FaZe also have consistently had that extra gear to put in when it really matters a lot of the time. We talk about playoffs FaZe. I would say that like a high pressure game like this is also somewhere where I would expect FaZe to play better. And they managed to make that happen. And that's just something that aside from Rez, nobody on this team has ever done. Ever. So this is like a whole new thing for them. Missing the major sucks. Honestly think it might be a blessing for them, because I think it might maybe slow down their development a bit. It gives them time to I think GamerLegion more than any other team maybe could make the best out of that situation, come into the fall season and actually make a push to be a top 10 team, to actually make a push to be some like a team we would consider tier 1 proper. And I think IEM Melbourne, let's just hypothetically say that happens. Let's say GamerLegion, we talk about GamerLegion as a top 8 team. We talk about a team who make playoffs in stuff like Blast, IEM, PGL events. Maybe even major. If that's what happens in the fall season, I think we'll look back and we'll say Melbourne was the start of that, and we'll say Melbourne was like they proved it. They proved that was like okay. And I think maybe I'm just speculating, but like if I was them, I would look at this and like I would take this and feel like if I'm Slend, if I'm ZTR, if I'm somebody who even if I'm 1000, like if I'm somebody that people has looked skeptically at, I would look at this event and I'd go like, yeah, I'm the real deal. Let's fucking get this. Like, and I think that's a big thing for them. For Ash as well. Like, Ash obviously coached the major. But for him to do it again, for him to do it with a roster, I think at this point GamerLegion can keep their roster. I think they're in a position where they're not going to get players stolen left and right, like before. And just re-signed a contract, supposedly one of the longest coaching contracts ever, is what GamerLegion said. It's a really long contract apparently.
We remember we was having a conversation. Was it probably with you? I was talking about this. Like, do we know any other contract lengths for coaches? Like,
it isn't even that long. It's the end of 2026. But
I thought their announcement talked about 2027, 2028 or some bullshit.
Maybe HLTV have it wrong. But yeah, maybe they just meant he's been there for a long time. I don't know. Oh, wait, no. This is an old source. They didn't update the source. His old contract was until the end of 2026.
Yeah, I was about to say.
There is. HLTV just haven't updated, yeah. Because they link to the old announcement when he extended. Yeah, it's a long deal. Super long deal. So some other coach deals. I think Zonic had like 2 years at Vitality, and he left at the end of it. So like if Vitality don't sign a longer contract than 2 years with the best coach of all time when they signed him, I think most people would consider Zonic to be that, maybe even still. If they didn't even sign a 2-year contract, it's a big vote of confidence and a big step for GamerLegion to be able to do that. They're doing a lot of stuff right now, which makes me feel like, okay, GamerLegion are not just GamerLegion. GamerLegion are like actually, okay.
They're trying to take themselves seriously and trying to build up into actually being a top team.
Yeah.
Not just a feeder team.
Before, yeah, not just a feeder team, and I don't think they ever meant to be a feeder team. Like I don't think they took the route where they wanted to be a feeder team. It's more like they're really stepping out of the box that they were put in, and they're starting to make moves. They're starting to make things happen that I think are gonna really pay off. And like I said, I think missing the major might be a blessing in that sense, because it's gonna put a damper on what they can do. And especially, honestly, the excuse that the format is shit, the MRQ format is shit, that excuse is probably so huge for them to be able to write it off and say that, like, well, when they look back on their season, they can put an asterisk and say, well, the format was shit. We would have qualified otherwise.
It's fair. And the format is shit.
Yeah. It's so yeah. For that reason, I think they have a lot going for them. This playoff was special. It's bigger than Bucharest. It's a much bigger step than Bucharest. And if I'm going to predict something, I'm going to say that we see really good stuff out of GamerLegion for the fall season. I don't know how much more they have this season. I think they're mostly...
You need to be way more specific than that, bud. Come on. Give me something to work with.
This is... I don't want to hinge it on just a single event. I was going to say major playoffs, but I'll say that it's top 4 at a big event.
Top 4 at a big event. Okay.
Top 4 at a big event while winning an arena game. So it can't just be they win the group in an IEM and go straight to semis. Yeah.
Okay. I like that prediction. I don't think it's unreasonable.
Yep.
I think that's quite a solid prediction. Especially because, look, I actually did have notes on the match itself. I was able to go use my rewind abilities, my magical powers, to go back and watch it. And yeah, firstly, the veto was fucked. Like, the fact that your GamerLegion picking Train into Falcons just feels horrible, because you have to remove Dust 2, because you don't really play it, and Dust 2 is a great map for Falcons. Is it their perma?
I don't have the stats in front of me.
I always forget who perma's what, but look, what matters is you have to remove Dust 2 into Falcons. It doesn't make much sense for you. But then pick-wise...
Yeah, it's their pick, yeah.
Did you pick Inferno? Or
not against
into this Falcons team? And the streak you're on, you've been really rocky on it. Like you've won 2 out of 5, I think, of the last, or something. It might be worse. It's just been a bad run for them on that Inferno. So they go into Train, which is a map I kind of like Falcons on, and yeah, they don't play that poorly on the T side. They only get 3 rounds, but they don't play that poorly. They just, in a lot of key moments, just get absolutely banged the fuck out. That's just the rough of playing against a team of this quality. Train, I think especially the CT side, if I'm not going crazy. Yeah, Tesses and Nico just wrecked them. And so it's one of those moments where you just got big dogged, you know, like you faced the veterans with more experience on the big stage with maybe the best rifle on the server that day. In future, Rez, PR definitely could give Nico a run. Like, he's not untouchable, and those guys are really sharp. They're getting up to speed. But that day, yeah, Nico was far better. Tesses outplayed them as well.
Yeah.
They got wrecked. And then the flow Falcons were finding towards the end of that train match just flowed into Nuke perfectly. And then they just got swarmed. And it was GG. Like, there wasn't much more to say about it. They offered very meager resistance, and Monacy just did whatever the hell he wanted. So, yeah, it was a rough series, a really rough series, but there was something there. Like, it was a poor matchup to begin with, and they weren't on a great run on certain maps. They'd like to lean into these big matches. So, tool up your Inferno a bit more, get comfortable with it again. There was some promising signs on that train. So if you're gonna have train as a sneak pick against someone who doesn't like it, great. Yeah, the map pool's shaping up. I do like your projection that a top 4 playoff, a realistic, like a really impressive top 4 playoff, not just, as you said, straight to playoffs, straight to top 4. I think that's a decent prediction and something they should be able to do. I will always return to this point, though. Are we sure we can't replace Slend? Are we sure? Are we 100% sure? He's really disappointed me.
Yeah. Well, again, this is one of those moments that could be really developing for a player like him.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, no comment if they should replace him or not. I think the jury's still out.
0.91 on the event. God damn.
Yeah. You don't want to see that. But yeah, and like, I can actually kind of see why they do the veto what they do, because I actually forgot about this, but they played Falcons in the Bucharest playoffs, and it was a 2-1. They already. This was the third time in April that these 3 teams matched up, because they stomped them on Inferno and Mirage. So they picked Inferno and stomped them 13-2. Then they meet again in the studio playoffs in Bucharest, and Falcons pick Train and GamerLegion win it, and then they pick Inferno again and Falcons win it. So they obviously felt that, okay, we have good stuff on Train, and they might have felt that like Inferno didn't feel good even if they won the 13-2, or like Inferno felt really bad when they lost 7-13. Like, it was like, Jesus, we got lucky. They might have had some sort of beat like that. I think that's something you and I would only know if we actually followed GamerLegion closely enough to see that to the level that Ash follows GamerLegion. So
maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I have high hopes for them, and I think they showed really good stuff. But I didn't catch that game, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a strong team.
Yeah.
But right, talking Melbourne, we've got probably how many more points left? We've got one more. Just one more. Just a little cheeky one.
Yeah.
Liquid start to flow. Thank you. Thank you for the round of applause. I know, the greatest pun ever put forth. I mean, no one's ever considered it. No one's tried it. No one's done it the way I've done it. Liquid, yeah. Not bad, is what I came out of that event thinking. Just not bad. Like, they lost to Mongols in the playoffs 2-1, and that Inferno 9-10 just hit them with some cheese. Just some stinky, funky cheese. Like, you can't be anchoring the A bomb site with an AWP. That's just not a thing, dude. Like, how dare you? And he's just hitting these ridiculous shots to make it work. Like, he thinks he's prime Kenny S or something, and in that map, he was. Ridiculous 30 bomb. I was watching his POV. Literally, I downloaded the demo just to watch his POV to see what he was doing. I was like, that's just not cool, man. Like, just in the last desperate seconds, just bailing the team out with ridiculous shots in close quarters. So look, they're not really that far off being top 4 here, considering they do manage to win Anubis. They're still solid on it, despite, the roster changing a little bit. And, we used to say their Anubis was strong because, in small parts, JKS was a really strong A anchor. It wasn't the entire story, but it was a good part of it. No problem here. They're still rolling. Huge CT side. I think there's there's a map they've got locked in now. They're becoming true specialists now. Even with their IGL shift up, they're still managing to play it at a high level. I think this is a Liquid that we can start taking seriously again, and I love to see that, because my word, when they didn't have Shuhei in, when it was Twist calling, I'm always having to have that caveat of like, if maybe the firepower, like all these little conversations kept having to be repeated over and over again. I like what I'm seeing from this team now, and as much as it was a devastating Inferno loss, this is a Liquid that's worth watching and worth following. Finally, Nuts isn't being wasted.
Yep. It's a repeat of the elimination game in Bucharest. A lot of repeat games for these teams we're talking about. And they handled it. I would say they handled it better this time. Mongols beat them 13-7 on Anubis the last time, but that was also when Shui joined like a day before,
yeah, they were
whatever.
Fresh. Like, there was nothing to really see.
He joined. They took a plane to Bucharest, and then that was it. But we did say that this event was super important for them. I think you literally said they have to show good stuff here, otherwise.
Oh yeah, otherwise I'm
this
just
move
gonna
is meaningless.
start checking out. Like, if you can't,
yeah,
it's not like you should be able to win this event. But even if they lose a close game to Na'Vi, for me that was something. Like, you know, in that lower final, because their group does get a bit rough when you look through it, because they have to. There's to be 3 of the 4 teams to make it out, with Vitality, Falcons, Na'Vi already in that group. They have to be able to take care of business against the weaker teams, and they really did.
Like, Virtus Pro was probably the next best thing they could have played.
There's no
real
team. Yeah, there's no real easy game outside of theoretically FlyQuest, because MIBR are always a dangerous team. Saw are a bit dangerous. Like, these are teams you have to take care of if you want to be taken seriously. So that's what I'm saying.
And it's like, I would say they had 3 steps that they could take, which would be like the bare minimum. Like, if they go to the lower bracket, they cannot choke against MIBR, FlyQuest, or Saw. If they beat Virtus Pro, that's like the second step. Because VP are sort of still in a middle territory where I have no idea what to do about them. And honestly, we recorded while that game was going on, and I remember we were watching it. It was like, Jesus Christ, how they threw that final round. Like, I think we recorded it. Yeah, the final round on Ancient, Virtus Pro throw it entirely, even after Liquid themselves give it away. Like, it's it
was an ugly match. It was a very ugly match. That one. Oh god, the Virtus Pro always play everyone. They drag everyone into the mud and just no one wants to see that.
Yeah, and then the third step, which was slightly overachieving, I think, if they had made it, and they did, was to beat Na'Vi. Which is what I said they would do in last week's episode. I predicted exactly what would happen in both group stages, actually. So but like, that's the next step, because Na'Vi are kind of weak. I'm not going to say it's an easy win, but it's a manageable for even a weaker Liquid. So they ticked all the boxes. Playoff game, maybe with what we just said about Mongols, you could think that like big arena players like Twist and Nav should be able to take that. But I mean, this early on, if it was in a month, then maybe I would have said that they should have beat Mongols at this point. That's fair. It's a fair loss.
Yeah, but Mongols aren't fearing that beast. They're not afraid of water.
No.
Let's put it that way.
No,
not yet.
No, yeah. Liquid start flowing. What a euphemism. Yeah, there's there could be other liquids that start flowing.
Yeah, don't worry. I got what you're trying to angle at. Just not sure why it came out.
I don't know. That's what I thought when you mentioned it. I never think about liquid actually being like a thing. A physical state of matter. Anyway, should we move on?
Please. I'm not sure what on earth I'm listening to now. Just the mad ramblings.
We talked way too long about Melbourne. I'm gone.
It deserved it.
It did, but
my lord. Okay, let's talk about some small sites, right? I think it's small site time.
Yep.
And we have a bit of an interesting one from me. At least in terms of not the usual thing we talk about, not the usual thing most shows will talk about. That's why we talk about it. An event that was kind of hidden by Melbourne. That's Fragadelphia Vegas. That's a bit of a an interesting little LAN, because if you look at the rosters usually attending a Fragadelphia, you know who to expect. It'll be a bunch of people you've literally never heard of, universities, and then like the 5th best NA team, maybe the 4th best NA team, and they'll try and win it. Or they'll all lose to an academy team from EU who decide to show up for no other reason than shits and gigs, which I remember happening. I mean, were they actually an academy at that point? It was the Norwegian team with Sly. They were an academy at that point, yeah. Who went in and I'm not sure they won a frag event, but they made a very deep run.
They made the final, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. But this Fragadelphia, let me go through the team list. I mean, we'll start from the bottom. Obviously, we'll get rid of the ones we don't care about. These were the teams who made it out of groups. So for a start, these teams made it out of groups. Anti-Eco Club, never heard of any of them. FlyQuest Red, which I'd hope you should have heard of, but with Sheikh Zula playing as a coach stand-in for, I believe, Marie? Yeah, she hasn't got a
Marie had no, it's not. She lives in the US, so that's not an issue. It was she had to go home for like a family thing.
Okay, fair enough. Regain, people you've never heard of. Supernova Comets, another Impact League team from NA. Game Hunters from Brazil. Already it's starting to get a bit odd, because at this point we're now entering the territory of Brazilians have bothered.
Oh, PRT. Okay, yep.
Yeah, Chicken Coop, classic NA Tier 2. Might,
classic
again,
name.
Classic NA Tier 2, if you look at the players. Super Evil Gang, probably the coolest people ever. Vagrants, Fisher College, LFO4. That's where we have to pause again, because who the hell are these players? Who the hell is LFO4?
I've heard of
top
Magic.
100 VRS?
I don't know why I've heard of Magic. Maybe somebody said that
people?
they were... Dude, for some reason Magic is stuck in my head.
But anyway, then you get Sharks. That's a pretty strong South American team. Like, relative to this level of competition, that's a pretty big one. Like, what the hell? Then NIP. Yeah. NIP made the trip. Getting Info. Classic. We know who they are. Fang, Carson, Shane Deere. Blue Jays and NRG. So it's a far stronger selection of North American teams. And then a few teams who just made the trip because it's VRS milkable, I guess, is how I'm going to call it.
Yeah, it was open sign up. Anybody could sign up.
Yeah, so everyone who wanted some VRS points showed up. And look, NIP goes storming through the playoffs. Let's be real. They don't have a real challenge outside of NRG. And that game is 3 maps OT. That one's an absolute banger. But the grand final was, let's be real, Sharks are not anywhere near the team NRG are. As much as they did have some impressive wins, probably for their own ledger, like they beat Getting Info comfortably. They managed to get a win over Blue Jays, who were playing pretty well in NA. They're not the team NRG are. And that was quite evident in the difference in how NIP played against the two of them. But NIP, stormed to the win. Wrinkle, easy MVP, if there was an MVP for this tier of event. Holy crap, was he just on form. Putting up stupid numbers against this level of competition. But no, a really cool event. And this is the kind of thing I want to talk about, because not just this event, but I noticed when I was going through some of my prospects for this week, there's been a lot of local play that's going on. And some of it's not over, so I didn't feel like doing a whole segment about all the different lands or online cups that are going on for different regions, like the Swedish Elite Sera, I think it's called, or you'll know what it's called, has started. One of the groups has played out entirely. Like, there's a lot of interesting little events going on right now. This is one we can highlight because it's over. It can be retaken. With NIP crushing their way through to victory. But pretty cool to see this level of turnout. And I think that's an unexpected bonus of VRS, because this is not a big prize pool event, not something typically people will bother showing up for, something typically will get neglected. But now all of a sudden gets this injection from huge teams like NIP showing up out of nowhere just because they need the VRS points. I think this is a massive, unforeseen benefit from the VRS system, as much as we give it so much crap all the time. And I still will. This is pretty cool. The fact that we do get to see some more legit teams bothering with local play just adds an element of, I'm not sure how to put it, like a bit of polish, a bit of prestige, there we go, on these smaller cups. And so I'm really excited to see this sort of thing continue. And yeah, NIP take the win, take 40 points, like 40 ranking spots jump
places
off the back of it. Ridiculous.
Almost 200 points, yeah, I think. Yeah, 192 points, 46 places. They're up to 39 on the VRS.
Yeah, it's pretty useful for them. I mean, it's not going to get them anything immediately, I don't think. But
it puts
next set of invites, it will.
It puts them literally next to Medisport, Big, and Fnatic. So I think that's a good crowd for like CCT playoff invites.
Hmm.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't watch a second of this event. It was in America.
no, I mean, obviously, as I said, it was kind of overshadowed by this whole Melbourne thing and the fact that usually isn't the biggest event. But I do think they are cool events to see continuing to happen.
Yeah, there's the thing that boosts NIP so much, and why I don't think they're going to do this again, is because when you already have ranking, it's not particularly beneficial. Basically, the reason why NIP shoot up so much, even if this is a small LAN with a small prize pool, and they didn't beat any particularly good teams, like I think NRG were the only ones who were higher ranked than them to begin with. Like Sharks were already lower ranked. That game isn't doing much for them for their VRS alone. Like as in beating Sharks in particular. So what does a lot for them is that the VRS, you get a bonus for LAN wins, like game wins on LAN, but there's an upper cap to it. So like once I can't remember if it's like, I think 6 or 5 or 10 wins on LAN. So once you get that point, the boost is basically negligible, and they just count as, it doesn't matter if the game you win is online or on LAN because you already have the boost. NIP were like sort of around 100, where nobody has won a game on LAN. Like where they were before. They said 88, I think. So we're talking teams like Rooster, Stashi, Fisher College, like Monty. These teams don't really play in LAN events that are Valve ranked, or don't make it deep enough to actually score wins. So for any team in this range, just getting wins to begin with is going to give you like 20, 30 spots. That's why Blue Jays went up so much. Once you hit like the 30, 40 mark, that's when you start to like, that's when you're closely ranked to other teams who have similar amounts of LAN wins. And then it's the actual opposition you play which matters. So there's no point in going to Fragadelphia now for NAP, for example, because they're just going to play against worse ranked teams who are going to not going to give them a lot of points. They might as well play online against better teams and get more points from that. So if they win, so there's that component of it. That's why it's so valuable for them. I think that's one of the reasons why Complexity decided to pull out, because they got good ranking from playing well in tier 1 events. They don't need more LAN wins like that. So yeah, good for them. It is really good for them, and I like that VRS overrates local LANs, because we need more local LANs, and we've already seen that this is something which is going to draw good teams to smaller LANs, to local LANs. We had another LAN finished this weekend. It was a Danish LAN which Tricked won, and I think that was also
I was thinking about why the hell those players were appearing everywhere. Yeah,
it was Gamebox Festival.
Right?
Yeah, and Heroic Academy were there. 8 teams were in the.
Who the hell's on a Heroic Academy? FNL. Okay, never mind. That's for my own personal research. Anyway.
FNL is the only guy you know, and then Stomac is the guy who sent a DM to Heroic like 3 years ago asking to join their academy team, and then he screenshotted the DM and when it was left on red, and posted it after he actually got signed, which was funny. Yeah, this was also VRS ranked. Tricked earned a whopping 137 places from playing this event, but I think they basically had no VRS when they came in.
Right.
Yeah, they were 219th. They were there for showing up. Like they played their 5 games and that was it. Prezi as well actually gained a lot. They only won a single game, but they gained 33 places. That's really good for them. So it's overvaluing these events, obviously, and I think the most egregious example is one we talked about in the pre-show. There's a Kazakhstani team which is going to play the Thunder Pick online event now.
Yeah.
Only based off the fact they won a Kazakhstani LAN event, which will put them over the 5 game mark, and like all of their games are LAN wins, like every single one, all their ranked games. So that's an overvaluation. I still think in the end that's still positive for the scene overall, because we need more smaller LANs is better than more small online competitions. So we want more LANs. And the trade-off is that you're going to have some moments of teams being overvalued. again, like I don't think Delta are gonna stack up in this Thunderpick event, and I don't think. So I think they're gonna fall back out. It's gonna self-correct, and then maybe there's another team which just shoots up out of nowhere and has a land win. But the more lands we have, the more sort of tenure we get. Like the more lands we have, the more teams go to these lands, the better it's going to be, and the more lands we're going to have, the better players we're going to have, the more development we're going to have. Like I'm looking at a team like Prezi because I'm familiar with some of the people who work there, and like even if they only score the 1 win and then they lose to Heroic Academy, I think a couple of their players, like Becker, top rated in the entire event. Old Molotov player, actually. Shout out. It's huge. It's probably huge for him. It's probably great for his development. Like Boya and Griller are 2 other players who are pretty young on this team. And I think it's going to do a lot for their development to even have played at an event like this and especially scored a win. So, and then of course, like Heroic Academy, if they making the final is kind of insane for only very briefly having been an academy team.
Yeah, they come out of nowhere, really.
Yeah,
I'm not really. That's what I'm saying. I need to research this team. Like, I'm not familiar with them at all. But no, that's been pretty cool. For me, like you bring up the Kazakh event specifically. As I said in the pre-show, I'm weirdly up to date with that event. Because I was looking into like all Linners players, I was looking into young Kazakh players, and I said this pre-show, and I might repeat it now, just so it's on the record. I've got a feeling Kazakhstan might be the next Mongolia. Like, because I'm looking at some of these young players play, and I'm getting some of the same vibe that I was getting when I was watching low-level Mongolian play. Like, is it perfectly coordinated? Is it all theoretically, like, solved? No. Are they fucking cracked? Yes. And that's the part that matters to me. Like, that's the part that intrigues me, that has me sucked in a bit. Like, I'm watching Kumao demos, not Dumao, Kumao. The Kazakhstani Dumao. I'm watching... No, I'm watching games... Oh, God. I'm watching games with this Dune player also, the 17-year-old kid. He's looking a bit sharp. He's looking a bit like something, These are the kind of events that, like a year ago, that Uzbek player, Icy Valone, was just crushing. He's not able to do it anymore. This scene is rising. This scene is coming through. Like, the LAN cafes of Uzbekistan, of Astana, are finally producing some more talent. It's not just Molodoy. It's not just Icy. There might be more coming out soon. So I'm excited to follow them, and I'll keep on watching. But yeah, thank you, VRS, for being broken. Without you, we wouldn't have this little anomaly, these little events popping up.
Yeah, because I think one of the most boring consequences of the pandemic was that when we all had to cancel, like, DreamHack Opens and Copenhagen Games and all of this stuff, a lot of them didn't come back. That sucks. Like, this is bringing that back, and we can have, when you look at like the event calendar of 2018, 2019, it's like all of the teams ranked like 20 to 40 on the HLTV ranking, they were all playing in these events, and that's the sort of events where they gain their experience. That's the sort of events where we get players who then become good. Like, you're looking at, just off the top of my head, here's one, Flit. Like, in that time, he was playing DreamHack Opens with Forza. Like, he was playing, if he was in that stage, and now he's a major winner. Like, if he was at that stage of his career today, he would be playing CCTs, and that's not at all the same thing. It's an entirely different game. So I'm happy we see this sort of thing coming back.
Yeah. Okay. On to your small site retake, which might trigger some people.
This week I have triggered some people, and I've been called a woke F word quite a bit for reasons I won't go into the show. But for that, I figured I was going to lean.
He is. They were right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, for that, I'm going to wear the badge of being woke by leaning into that sense of the word in the only sense of the word I think is valid, which is Sean Deitch. Utter woke nonsense. So I have come up with 8 utter woke nonsense Counter-Strike concepts, and I want you to blind rank them from 1 to 8. From most,
I'm gonna need a piece of paper. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Hang on. I'll note them down for you. But from
I need to know them. I need them in front of me. Like, I want to know what I'm doing.
All right. Yep.
Where's that goddamn ranking notice from the fucking TV licensing people? Where is it?
the ranking is from most utter woke nonsense to least utter woke nonsense. If you're not a football person, this is completely lost on you. This is not politics. I'm talking about like the game's gone. I'm talking about that sort of thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean, of course.
Yeah, but
anyone not familiar with the concept, it's cool.
Yeah, watch Premier League. All right, so
don't. It's shit. Watch League One. It's sick.
Watch the Championship. I saw.
Honestly, watch everything in England that isn't the Premier League, and you'll have a much better time. The crowd sing, the players tackle, players go for headers when the ball's in the air, unlike Tottenham players who just watch it. Like, what the fuck? I was so confused when I watched Tottenham play and they didn't go for headers. I was like, what is wrong with you idiots?
We have like one of the tallest squads as well. Like we have every ability to go for headers. Like we have every.
Yeah, and Chris Wood just did whatever the fuck he wanted. Like,
dude,
anyway,
I was so pissed off. Anyway, yeah, okay, 1 to 8. I'm gonna rattle these off, and you put them blind rank them from most utter woke nonsense to least.
Okay.
So number 1, aggressive extremities.
I mean, how woke could it be if I helped come up with it? If I was a part of the debate, how woke can it be? It is. I'm gonna put it at 5.
5, all right. Aggressive. I'm just writing this down. Next up, donk slide.
I do hate crab walking motherfuckers, and the donk slide is just next level crab walking. It's still like it's still fragging, and I don't know. I'll put it at 4 for now. I'm feeling a bit iffy on that one because I do hate it, but at the same time, I know there's stuff that's like more woke in terms of what we're talking about.
Yep. Hybrid oppers.
2. Fuck that. Get the fucking AWP out, you coward. Oh, my economy.
Wow.
AWP.
Right. There's a little bit of a change up because we've talked about like in-game concepts at this point. This is a big one. Valve regional standings.
Here's the thing, though. It's pretty anti-woke to not put everyone under 1 ranking, to not submit to globalization, so I'm going to put it at 7.
All right.
As much as look, it's not about being bad just as a theory, just as an idea. It's also about being specifically utter woke nonsense.
Yep.
So I'm going to put it down at 7. I don't think it's that big a deal because we used to have very regionalized things all the time, and that's fine.
I did this on the bus on the way to a lecture early in the morning. I'm not. This is maybe the worst one. Coaches banned for coach bugging. And I think the way I was thinking there was like the way ESIC handled all that. Honestly, let's change it. ESIC as a thing. ESIC.
ESIC.
Yeah. ESIC, the Esports Integrity Commission.
Being incredibly ineffective and just useless bureaucracy is pretty fucking woke, in it. Just getting in the fucking way and being annoying. I'll put it at 6 because I don't think it's too game related and I don't like it enough. I want it something game related to really dominate the top.
Mm-hmm. I know your opinion on this one. 32 team majors.
What in the fucking 3? Because I know there's going to be something worse.
All right.
Because what in the fucking participation trophy fuck are we doing? Like,
right. Rotator IGLs. We're going back to the in-game concepts.
Oh, I really like
talking
it.
Apex.
I like it.
Apex, LXB.
8.
Yeah.
I like it actually. I don't think it's woke at all. It's like my IGL is going to be in the fray and useful. On the CT side, it seems almost essential. So yeah.
Yep.
Oh god, this is what's going to be number 1. What have I cursed?
Your number 1 is the major regional qualifier. MRQ.
I hate it, but it doesn't work for this concept.
Yeah.
It's the reason it's shit is because it's outdated, not because it's trying to be too new.
Yeah. Oh, yikes! It's anti-woke.
It's the most anti-woke thing possible. It is.
Wow, it was so woke it became anti-woke.
There's
Maybe it's a
nothing
valid
woke
number
about it
one
at
in that
all.
case.
Playing BO1s in 2025 is the complete fucking opposite.
Alright, so your list
Oh.
from least to most, utter woke nonsense. Rotator IGLs, VRS, ESEC, aggressive extremities, donk slide, 32 team majors, hybrid oppers, and Sean Dyche. I was going to say turns in his grave, but he's very much alive, I think.
Very,
MRQ.
very not dead. Yeah.
Yeah, MRQs. Congratulations, that's your list of utter
Lord.
woke nonsense.
All right, now we can make it into a YouTube short, obviously.
Yeah,
because that's how podcasts work, right? They don't actually make podcasts. A lot of sports podcasts, they just farm clips. They're just trying to make YouTube shorts. No one gives a fuck about the full episodes.
I have probably watched a couple of hours of like football podcasts. I have never listened to a single full episode. it's all shorts. It's all shorts and reels.
It's always shorts and reels, and that's because honestly, there's not much to talk about.
No,
These motherfuckers do not talk about much.
Okay. If we weren't so lazy, we're missing out on a market here. Right? Yeah.
If we weren't so lazy, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm running a content empire, 12 videos a day.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our new favorites topic, which, where's my fucking, there it is. Why is it so far down? I need to put this on top. Oh, no, it's in the wrong thing. There we go. Get
Amazing.
out of the group. There we go. Sorry, OBS was getting my tits. Right, next. It is, of course, the greatest new segment ever created. It's Cock of the Week. There it is.
Yep.
There's the cock. Let's get into it.
We had a cock. We had a cock this week, an actual one. It was in Melbourne, and I actually haven't picked something from there because I found the cock on like Monday, and I was like, "Yo, this is gonna be my cock of the week." And then a lot of other cock-related shit happened, which I could have put, but I don't wanna drag on about that. So what I picked is when Hooksy got replaced, or when Hooksy replaced Cadian, we all said Hooksy was the better option in September last year. And Astralis apparently agree now. Why not then? Open-ended question. Somebody said, we all said. No, you didn't. Most people said plus Cadian was a good move, and we're hyped for it. What he didn't consider is I have a weekly podcast where I say everything I think about Counter-Strike, and I went back, and we both said we would have preferred Hooksy. September 18th, 2024, I think it was. And this is mostly just put in as a cock of the week because this guy, didn't do his research. And it gave me an excellent opportunity to plug the podcast, which is the best ratio I've ever had as well. Like, it's this guy. Yeah. That was it. That's
the entire cock. Yeah.
That's the entire cock, yeah.
No, I do.
So,
it's a very valid one, though. That's the point. Like, it's so ridiculous that someone would just, firstly, completely, I think, miss the fact that other people like have different opinions. Like, we all.
I think
we all. Who the fuck is we all? Because everyone I heard said this. So I don't know who this guy's like locked himself in a fucking box with. To just like fucking shake and dribble.
Kassad.
But like probably Kassad. Like, where does this come from? This notion that everyone preferred Cadian? No.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right.
Absolutely
at all.
not.
But yes, as well to just hit him with the the actual just perfect clip. Just we both prefer Hooksy, but whatever. At least it's not device anymore. But.
I time-stepped it specifically at the start of the sentence where you say, I think I would have preferred Hooksy, and then in the next sentence I say, I would have also preferred Hooksy, like specifically that section. The first time I posted it the first time, and as a joke I said hashtag plug because I was plugging my show, but then I actually clicked the hashtag and I realized I should repost that without the hashtag because of the top post on that hashtag. So, yeah. Yeah, that was just a fun thing. There are a lot of other stuff. CS Twitter has been eating good this week. I saw Polul rage baited Zeus into like running his ChatGPT dry. But yeah, that's been cock of the week.
Yep, that was our cock. Not a particularly big one to get too elaborate about because, well, it was pretty easy.
Normally it isn't. Like normally, that's what most
Yes,
people say.
it's just a little cock of the week. All right,
Little cock.
up next. This is a topic you threw in. I really didn't keep track of. So apparently, there's some shit going on with Astralis. Like,
Oh, you haven't kept track of this at all.
no, you know me. I don't read articles. I don't do homework.
Fine, I watch your videos with ad block. The
You're a member, bro.
yeah, I'm entitled. There's a report. Astralis from Dust2 DK have reported that Astralis are looking to sell their entire brand and CS division, which is it's not entirely on track with the Overdrive saying they were close to bankruptcy. And I think Bobsky pointed this out. They are not close to bankruptcy. It's just that they don't. The current owners don't feel it's worth owning Astralis anymore. So they're looking to sell to new leadership. And if you haven't kept up with this, can you guess? You would imagine things can't get worse for Astralis. You would imagine that. Guess one time who apparently is the primary interested party in buying Astralis. It's a person, a Danish person.
The king? Do they have a king still? Horde?
No. Oh, Hunden would be something.
I think you're expecting me to know a lot more Danes than I actually do. Do I actually know this Dane?
I think you do. And it's Jonas Gundersen of NIP fame.
Oh, speaking of utter woke nonsense, Jonas Gundersen.
Yeah, of both North and NIP fame. Many people forget he worked with North as well when they fell down. Like for all of 2019, he was at the helm when they turned to shit. Yeah, and then he moved to NIP and turned them to shit. And my first reaction when I saw this was to literally quote tweet and say, "We all thought it couldn't get worse." And like one of the first I got a notification, I looked at my phone, and I was like, "Huh." Ex-NIP player liked the tweet. I thought that was very funny. But yeah, it's Jonas Gundersen looking to run Astralis into the ground, which I guess is it's a side grade at best.
Yeah, that's a weird. Buy the brand as well.
Yeah.
I wonder which investment fund is behind this twat at this point. Like, who the hell is still letting this guy make decisions?
I would say, I think he's a rich guy because he owned a lot of NIP, and I'm assuming he sold that off. Like, he had like a pretty big ownership stake in NIP. So I think he's got money.
Oh, okay.
But he's also not the only interested party. He was the only reported interested party, but I've also seen people float like. Apparently, somebody on Twitter was asking like publicly, "How do I get in contact with Astralis? I want to talk to them," like or something like that. Somebody who owns some other sports team or something. Whatever the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to dominate, for some reason the Danes are still attached to Astralis, despite years of literal failure, drama, mismanagement, controversy. They've basically been terrible for years and years and years, but yeah, they still have a stranglehold on Danish people for some reason. So it's not a terrible opportunity. If you can turn it around and make them a winning team, I guess it's worth it. You're not in the worst position to do so because of, the players you have. You still got a lot there. I still refuse to acknowledge this idea that they're just all shit now. That's ridiculous. So, no, there's still a project to be salvaged. I'm just a bit confused about the
guy.
Yeah. If I'm in the org, is that who I want owning me?
Yeah. Not exactly.
Someone should tell him, like, when he does buy the team, like, hey, dude, by the way, your team isn't very diverse. You should invest in some non-Danish, non-male players.
Yeah. Do it.
Just make him walk the walk.
Hell yeah. Let him do it. No, it's like a talented squad, mismanaged, like strong brand with a talented squad, having been mismanaged for a couple of years, is now being overtaken by a guy most known for mismanaging a strong brand with a talented squad for a number of years. Like, can't make this shit up. Like,
we should stop talking about it. Just let it happen, so we can be like just laughing at the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna cry big tears if Astralis get run into the ground by this guy. I think that would be extremely funny, and fuck, I hate Astralis. So there's we'll see what happens with that. Just as a brief point, some of the news that happened this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna root against it. Let it happen. Let it happen.
Yes, please.
Let it keep going downhill. We had another smaller cup conclude. Well, it was supposed to be much bigger than it ended up being, but Heroic go and win the CCT Global Finals, which ended up being, well, almost anything but. We did get our North American in spirit representative and our Brazilian team show up, so that was at least good. But a number of teams pulled out, had to be replaced. We went over this. It was a bit of a mess. But in the end, a pretty good series of matches. Like, a pretty fun event to follow. Especially if you're interested in Tier 1.5 CS and below. My word. BetBoom immediately sending Wildcard down to the lower bracket with a 13-10, 13-0 result. And then Wildcard fighting back into a lower semi against Heroic, where they end up winning a map in OT, losing map 3, 13-10, like putting up a pretty like strong resistance to a Heroic that ended up running through the rest of the field to go and win the event. By the end, they were absolutely rolling, just crushed bait in the grand final. But it's been it was a really fun event to follow if you didn't follow it. Obviously, a highlight for a lot of people is Jacob going out in last place. And
then immediately getting benched. Yeah.
Yeah. And also for the other half of the scene, watching 500 get crushed and then benching. With their new player, they'd already benched Ships, but with Red Star in, still sucking. So it was a bit of a fun one for a lot of people. We saw a pretty great performance out of Try, at least initially, to get them past 500, but then the team Imperial were just struggling, I think, overall. And Try was strong in the series against Partisan, but the fact they lose that series says a lot. Like, this Imperial team didn't take this event with the seriousness they should have. Let's put it that way. They didn't put their whole ass into it. They're still not quite that. But look, awesome to see Heroic win again. Awesome to see them rolling. I wonder, what's the next real event we see Heroic at?
The Mongolian one. I was going to say, it's really fun for them to get this win because they're flying out to Mesa Nomadic Masters.
Awesome.
Where they have a good chance of winning. Like, the teams attending is Genghis Warriors, Huns, and Eruption, and GGHao. It's basically a repeat of the MRQ, but with GGHao instead of God's Reign. And then from the global side, meaning European side in this case, saw Heroic, Big, and Bait. So Heroic have just shown up Bait online. Heroic Big, I think we've seen that game before on LAN, and I think Heroic won, maybe. Maybe I'm mixing up with Big Wildcard.
Smashed a while ago.
Oh, yeah, because I remember we saw Big, Wildcard, and Heroic, and I can't remember if Big got like 13-0'd or if it was the other way around, because Wildcard also got 13-0'd, I think.
Oh, no,
anyway,
they beat them in Dallas close quali. They beat them in the Europe qualifier in Dallas, but the Cato play-in, they got crushed 2-0. That's the LAN game.
Yeah,
and we've unfortunately had to watch.
We've talked about Heroic having some LAN struggles, so they're going into another LAN. I'm not going to say they're favorites. I think it's pretty close fought. I think Heroic have a chance of, Saul have a chance of winning here as well. So it's like this one is actually going to be fun.
I'd have them on my book as the favorite. I think, given their LAN struggles, I would have them as favorite on the books because, look, Saw have done a decent job maintaining their position since the changes, and they had a bit of a blip when they made the change in terms of their performance at Pro League.
Yeah.
Like, beating Heroic Fury and M80 to make it in, beating Na'Vi in the opening game, and then after that, going out. But realistically, their results since then have been more realistic in terms of the MRQ or the regional qualifier, and then their Melbourne showing. Like, it's been more realistic since then. I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be a particularly impressive Saw, at least not in the matchups with Heroic, with Bait, with those kinds of teams. They might have a chance to beat, well, I think they should beat Eruption, GG How, but otherwise I think they might struggle a bit more. But yeah, no, Heroic, great to see this level from them, and they do need to translate it though, because that's what I put in the lower third, Heroic's online glory. We keep talking about Heroic online being really strong. On LAN, they need to show us it, because it's not like we're talking, Mongols, big stage struggle. No, we're talking about just LAN. Studio LAN, not able to show the form they show online. Need to correct that, and correct that quickly.
It's actually pretty interesting. The two most experienced members of this team are Sunpias and xCloud. Rating-wise, they're the ones who drop off the most between online and LAN. Tenier stays at a relatively high level, and Youngster, he moves a bit down, but he's also not really in the position where that's going to make a huge difference. LNZ loses out a bit, but it's like he's also the worst rated player on the team. Sunpias and xCloud both go from 115, 114 to 101 and 0.99. So I'm not going to say they're onliners, because I think they've proved they aren't, with how, at least Sunpias, with how he's played before. They're not inherently onliners. But it's interesting that they have some of the, like, they are the ones who are taking the big dip. It's surely more of a team issue, of course, but like, if it even is an issue, I mean, look, the track record so far would say it is an issue.
Yeah.
We'll see if the team agrees. I don't think they've spoken about it. I think they've been asked about it, but they don't I don't think they consider that they have big LAN issues. Like, I get the feeling that they think, like, obviously not happy with their track record, but they might not feel like the issue is LAN. They might just feel like the issue is the games they played, so to speak. I don't know. Most of their LAN struggles they haven't played stages. They've played like studios, and they've played a lot from boot camp as well. So like, sure, it's that different. Maybe they get rattled by having Apex on the other side of the screen, shouting at them.
Yeah, that's probably a not small part of it. Like that used to be a big part of LANs, like as well, with teams playing right next to each other, just literally screaming in their face. Like that was a very real part of it. But look,
and again, both Youngster and xCloud shout a lot as well. So like, it's not
shout, but like, there's there's such thing as the dog that.
Time for some Twitter porn.
A dog can bark loudly until you open the gate, at which point you need him to fight. On the server, gate open, not so good.
All right,
not so good. So yeah, that's our concern for Heroic. We're both invested in them being really good. Like, we like the players, we want to see them return to a solid level. Long may the rebuild continue. But onto the staples.
Hell yeah.
Onto the staples.
Oh,
it's the
1 second. We didn't mention that Stanislaw had maybe the worst map in history, rating wise. He had the 0.02 Dust 2, where Wildcard got so smacked against BetBoom on Dust 2, they had 12 frags total. Stanislaw ended on 3.9 ADR. He got 50 damage all game. And I just felt that we needed to mention that. It had to be mentioned, I think.
That just caught me by surprise, and something got stuck in my throat, and I started just coughing it.
Yep.
Raw, that is...
I like it. Yeah.
Okay, that is crazy.
I've never seen a map
Fuzi is ahead of him with 0.07.
Yeah, he got a frag.
Like...
He got a frag, and he got the 1 assist, I think.
I'm going to download this demo. I'm actually going to watch this demo.
Hang on. Stan got, I think, 3.9 ADR in 13 rounds. That's about 50 damage or so.
Yeah, 50 damage.
And he got an assist.
Yeah, flash assist, remember?
Oh, it might just be the one. Do they count, like, when they put assist and then brackets flash assist, do they mean total assists of which are flash, or do they mean...
Total assists of which are flash.
Alright, I thought it was the other way, where it was assists and flashes. Okay, then it was a flash assist. I thought maybe it was such a brilliant game where he had one round where he did 50 damage, and that player got fragged.
Yeah, no, holy crap. That's one of the roughest Yeah, team stat lines I've ever seen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna watch that game from Stansel's POV.
Yeah.
That's
Prospects
horrendous.
demos. Yeah.
Prospect.
Dude, if you think about the fact that the rating number is supposed to mean like how many percent better or worse ish than you are than the average player. Now, Stanislaw on that map was 98% worse than this average CS player.
He was 2% of an average pro. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, yeah, we can move on.
Yes, we can. Let's get into the Eternal Shuffle, shall we?
Yep.
It's finally time.
Quite a long one.
All right. I'm going to try and... You're going to name them, I'm going to grade them. We're going to try and keep it quick, because there's not much to discuss about a lot of these. / we don't want a 3-hour show. So...
Yeah. I made this one extra retake the week by including some that we would never talk about otherwise. But first up, Astralis. They have cut KDN. They've added Hooksy as a stand-in for PGL Astana.
We bullied them into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Woo.
Yep.
Big dub. Big
Woo.
dub. Yeah. I'm going to give it an A. I might give it a B just because it took them too fucking long.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that felt silly.
Officially, it's a stand-in signing. I think that might genuinely be because the owners didn't want to invest in signing a new contract. If they're selling the
they're
team.
selling the team. It doesn't really matter to them. They like sign him up long term.
Imagine if they put Hooksy in as a stand-in, and let's say Astralis make the grand final or whatever in Astana. Let's just say they have a massive overperformance off the back of that, and then the new owners come in, and like Stanislaw does some, or like Stown does some snake shit, and they cut Hooksy for somebody else. Bring in Blame F, buy him out from Fnatic. Imagine that. No, anyway. Bring config back.
I'm gonna punch my monitor. Right, yeah.
Yep. Good grade. Furia have, this one was actually real. I don't think we thought this was real.
We didn't take
Furia
it seriously.
Have actually, no. Furia have cut skulls and added Yakindar also on a stand-in basis, I think. I don't know if it's a loan or if he's a free agent too.
Kill me. Just kill me.
I think officially it's a stand-in signing, yeah.
What is this? This is the most ridiculous... D? I don't know. You're going international and your choice is cut skulls for your Kindar? You're on crack. Like, are you trying to lose?
Yeah,
this is terrible.
This implies that you cut skulls and cello, and it implies that you're asking Fallen and Yakindar to fill those positions.
Fallen will play skulls' roles with a rifle. Yakindar will play cello's positions. It's gonna be so bad.
I guess,
and if it's not, I'm gonna be so mad.
I guess that's where he has been the best when he was decent. But that's also where he's been the worst when he was bad on Liquid. Anyway. I do think it's really funny the way Furious CEO, like 2 days before they cut cello, he was like in a WhatsApp group and he was like, "We're gonna make all the moves after the major. There's not a lot we can do before the major. All the good players are already qualified." And 2 days later, he cuts cello for Molodoy, and then he cuts skulls for Yakindar. Anyway, yeah.
Ridiculous.
I hate it.
D.
Would you hate it, or would you like it if they also added Simple after the major?
What? No. Lord, no.
Somebody who was apparently a huge bullshit source, like well-known bullshit source in Brazil, but he said that they were interested in they were talking to Simple and they were interested in signing Simple.
Yeah, no. I think I dismissed this last week as well. No.
Yep. Nope. Finally, Pain have confirmed DGT is joining the team.
Yeah. Look, it's been a rough time for Pain, but this gets an A. I like DGT. He's going to be a solid player for them. I mean, it's a bit weird with Kawes actually being decent a lot of the time, but I'm a big fan of DGT, so let's make it work.
Yeah. Got it. BC Game have cut Jacob and are looking for a stand-in for IM Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, what, they can put 300k on black? Like, come on. I guess
I thought it was.
it's the right play.
Uh,
Like, it's the right
I thought
move,
it was.
but it's so silly.
They should have done this the second he
Yeah.
posted a tweet where he said he was a gambling addict, because this is a little bit like coming out and saying, I've been an alcoholic since I was 18, and then the brewery you work for are like, we're gonna support you. It's a little bit.
We got your back, bro. We got your back.
Yeah.
Here's another
We got your
six-pack.
back. Use our promo code for. Yeah,
If any brewery wants to
got us some
sponsor us,
extra.
though, I'm not an alcoholic.
Neither. I'd actually love. Yeah.
Some free beer?
Oh. I'd very ambiguously be willing to shill whatever alcohol you have. Ambiguously in the sense that we have strict laws on this. Anyway,
I don't. Give alcohol, please.
I'll just be quiet. I'll just close my eyes whenever you're doing the ad read.
Just crack the can.
Like la 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 la. Yeah. I can shill any 0%, and you can shill all the alcohol. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I'll do it topless if you want.
Side note, there was a development here. Kassad, who also apparently is owed money by Jacob because he loaned him with a contract, like in December this year. He loaned him $50,000 with a contract, and he made a thread about it. He's like, okay, I've been contacted by a bunch of people. Apparently, Jacob owes a grand total of $300,000 to different people. Including $50,000 to Kassad himself. He also owed another $50,000 to Smuya, which Kassad paid for him on top of the $50,000 loan. But anyway, it was a really funny.
Jesus.
It was a really funny sequence. Kassad just went nuts because he posted all of this stuff publicly, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can post a contract to prove it," and the contract included, like, he was like, "I've blurred out the addresses so you don't know where everybody lives." And then, like, the fourth picture is just a picture of, like, a scanned picture of Jacob's passport, which was part of the contract. It says where it said on the passport, like, on the passport where he lived. Like, it's like
He posted Jacob's passport.
yeah, and then like everybody posted you shouldn't post the passport, and he's like, oh, I removed the passport. I think that might be illegal if I post that. And then they were like, you still included the picture with the passport number, like you can still find everything, all the details. And then he posted another tweet, and he's like, I've actually removed the entire tweet now because I think I want to handle this privately instead.
I remember seeing that specific tweet from him, but I hadn't kept track of what was going on before that.
No, it was in the middle of the night.
Passport.
It was in the middle of we talked about it in the Fragbite news channel. I'm just gonna scroll up and find. I'm not gonna leak shit, but I'm just gonna tell you about at what time. This was like at 11 in the night. Yeah. Yeah, and the weirdest thing, another weird thing with Jacob, he is gonna post all of the updates on how he's handling the situation on his Snapchat. He was like, I'll post all the updates. Follow my Snapchat. And I've since found out Snapchat apparently pay a shit ton of revenue for all your views on your stories if you have like a public, like a celebrity account or whatever. So I respect the content first mindset. I respect that. Content first. Anyway, I'm not gonna go too much on about that. This is
Real
the
hustler.
shuffle.
But yeah, anyway, next.
Yeah. 9 Pandas have benched their full roster after missing the major.
Yeah, this is a weird one, because if they're trying to rebuild, I'm not sure how much better they can do. I like the roster in a lot of places. Like, this is a weird one to me.
They said they weren't done, and just now I realized that maybe that means they're just signing the Aurora roster, so they're going from one failed.
Yeah,
they've also kept Fears.
Like, this is just a weird thing.
Super weird. They also had a loan agreement with BetBoom to loan him for the MRQ, but to loan Chiron for the MRQ, but then they didn't even play with him. So super weird. Shalfie, Result, and Dilides are now available. Basically, you need to buy them, but they're available. I like that for a Russian shuffle.
Yeah, if you're a team like trying to get, I mean, there's some pieces there. So I can see them getting picked up. It's just a question of price, you know.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, Virtus Pro have cut their coach, Pashanoi, and they've added well-renowned cheater, Finn.
Well-renowned cheater Finn, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I know him for. He was...
More than anything, probably, yeah.
Yeah. What is it to grade?
This is one of those nothing coach changes to me. Like,
since Dastan left, I feel like the Virtus Pro coach role is the most meaningless role in Tier 1 CS.
Just constantly changing it. I just at this point, just settle down. Just let it grind out. C, like D maybe. Actually, this is just getting annoying.
Yeah, because I remember when they cut Dastan, they added Soma from
from Nine Pandas. And we had a whole chat about how maybe this could work stylistically, like with the players he's worked with before and made work, and then they just cut him like almost instantly. So I don't know. Yeah,
what came out from like Telegram channels and shit was that apparently this was a managerial call. Like the team did this, like the org, and the team hated Xoma, and there were like clips of them like not even talking to him, like during games. They just looked extremely pissed at him and shit. So I don't fucking know. Fuck that. Johnny Speeds have benched Rolf, and they have added Svedje Hed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll note that like 2 days after this, Adam B was a bit sick the other day, and so he stood in for Medisport, and he absolutely fucking carried them against Cybershock. Rolf, I mean.
Yeah, Rolf. Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one. I don't really have much to think about it. They've been struggling. They needed a change, maybe. Didn't feel that desperate.
I don't even think they've been struggling that much.
I don't know. Give it a B.
Yep,
I don't
solid.
know. It's weird.
I put this in on the off chance you pay attention to UKCS. Alaska, the only UK team left, have disbanded.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna remind you who these guys are in case you don't know. It's basically the old Viperia roster with Artist, Extinct, Giraffe, Vacancy, and 360.
You know, I didn't know who they were.
Right, the viewers.
No, screw the viewers. It's all about me. No, if there was any significant money in it, then fair, drop them. Otherwise, if it was just free, like, yeah, who cares? This is a very nothing move. They're a team who haven't progressed much in the scene for years. Whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. Right. GTC. I only put this in because they did half decent at something the other day, or the other week. Portuguese team have benched their entire roster after finally doing something which made me pay attention to them, which was beat Medisport once.
Well, they've been rough in the games I've watched of them. I'm gonna be honest, there's not been much to write like anything positive about them. Like you watch them play, they're pretty bad. So look, fair enough. Just fair enough. They've not been that great.
Yeah,
I can't hate it.
I'm gonna be entirely honest. I think I mixed them up with Rhino because I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is solid because a lot of the good Portuguese players have come from here. But then like, there's nobody. SHR was from here. Nobody else. Rhino were the ones who brought up like Story and all of them.
Yeah, no. I've never seen them play particularly well, and they've been on a huge losing streak. Like they won 1BO1 against Medisport, and that's it. Like they're not.
Yep. Screw this team. Wildcard Academy. Tagged has retired.
This is a weird
at a whopping age of about like 21.
Yeah,
we are
strange. Washed. Good luck at uni or whatever the fuck he's deciding to go do.
Assuming.
I think for Wildcard Academy, it's a bit of a weird moment because he was like the most experienced player in terms of just age, not in terms of actual teams played on.
Like, he was on Sampi for like 2 years.
Friend is older, but yeah, it's just an odd one. They've still got a couple tidy pieces to hope will develop. For Wildcard Academy, it's a bit strange, but yeah, he retired. What can I say about it?
Yeah, I only put it in because it's the only way we're going to talk about Wonder or even mention him in passing on this show. Wonder is my new Isak for this show.
Lord, save me.
Do you remember when we did that bit all the time? About, do you remember when we always talked about Isak being the best player in the world?
You always fucking talked about Isak.
He's doing good. He made the major.
Frustrating.
Right, anyway. Yeah, that's all the shuffles. I don't think there's been anything else happening today. There's gonna be something as soon. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, something else just happened.
Okay.
Retake the week. God's Reign have parted ways with Finn apparently, and I only mention that because we've talked about him and them.
Yeah, this isn't that new. This was talked about in the week. Not sure where he's going, but he's probably the most talented Indian player I've watched. So yeah, good luck. Maybe there's some sort of mixed Asian team speaking English that wants to take a risk on him. It can't be that high level of team though, because he's not exactly, he's been on God's Reign. He's not been on Tyloo, so we'll see what happens. But no, he's a tidy little player.
I would honestly love if a European team took a chance on him. Like if there was a team like
who the fuck
Wildcard Academy, for example, took a chance on Finn.
Yeah, he could go to an academy team for sure. It's just a question of making it financially viable for himself. If he has to move to Europe and their academy project probably not paying much, that could be a bit difficult.
Maybe. Copenhagen Wolves is another one which I feel like they have a solid roster now, but if they didn't, I would have loved for them to take a chance on a player like this, like somebody completely from left field and be like, we're gonna make the best Indian player of all time.
Yeah, the Desi Donk.
Yeah.
Now that's a fucking tagline. Put that on your Twitter, mate. Right.
Yeah, it is.
But okay, that's the shuffles. Let's get into the prospects of the week.
Yeah.
Obviously, we always wrap up the show with the same little detail. Yeah, I had a bit of a rough time picking one this week because a lot of players have played like very little, or they'd only played like smaller events. So it was a bit difficult for me to choose someone that really stood out. But I ended up going with a player you've picked before, a player that I've liked, Peppo, Peter Rushishka, or however you pronounce that. Absolute G of an AWPer for sinners. Going to be fun to watch his demos this week on the Prospect Demos live stream. Hopefully will be a live stream this week. Last week got hit with an emergency last second thing on Thursday that took me out all day. So ended up being like I'm very sorry, here's a couple of demos Friday type event. But hopefully tomorrow's stream I can maybe get to some of his demos. Really, really impactful AWPer for them. Massive shoes to fill when he comes in for Oscar. And they end up going and winning EUPL Season 24. Really liking what I'm seeing from him. And he's going to be a player to watch in the ever-blossoming and ever-evolving Czechoslovak scene.
Yeah, we've talked about him before, and I saw him in the stats sheet, and I was like, damn, this guy, I could pick him again. But I'm glad you did, because I wasn't gonna repeat myself that much. And I didn't watch him this time either as well that much. He's done really good. Like he's got a couple of really solid weeks back to back now where like, again, I think I said this last time I picked him. I counted Sinners out when they cut Oscar, more or less. Because they've had a hard time with talent. Like they've had Neofrag there for a while and they had a hard time making something out of him. And Oscar was really doing a lot. Mostly in his first stint, but especially even in the second stint as well, he was doing a lot for this team. And like, you're not getting the same stuff out of Zedco as you could before. Shock as well is like the tenured guy on the team now. Beastic is never going to be giving you a lot of firepower. So finding an AWPer from your own academy is like pretty big for Sinners, and I think I might say keeping the team alive maybe. So. Yeah, I mean, like, great. I don't know exactly what they played this week. They played European Pro League.
Yeah,
that's solid.
Won it, and he was the MVP essentially. Like him and Shock dominated. Yeah. But yeah, he's my highlight player.
Hell yeah, dude! I like it. Good pick. I've gone for a dubious pick. I've gone for Plopsky, and I think this is very dubious. In terms of prospect status. I think I've made this point once before, which is that Plopsky, he was up there, and then he fell back down He's a prospect again.
He only
He's,
spent 3 years in NIP. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, but
And
this
he's
is
only
his second
22.
time. This is his second time when he's going to be Rookie of the Year. So he had a really big week and he played really well for Medisport. They mostly played Swedish games this week. I'm gonna say they played in our league, the Swedish CS League, which is the qualifier for Eliza, the LAN event. And they played Cybershock as well in some other game. But he was good there as well. Mostly he was really good against Viperio Northern Lights, which is Northern Lights. Honestly, maybe I pivot. Of course I'm going to pivot. What am I doing? I'm stupid. My actual prospect is Mines.
Oh, for crying out loud, this guy.
Yeah, sorry. I maybe you made the graphic. I hope not. I'm going to pick Mines
I never
instead.
do that ahead of time. Do you know what's the annoying part about you picking that? I was like, oh, low key. I found this really young player from the Swedish Cup. I'm going to put him to one side. Literally have him on a separate window. And I'm like, as soon as we're done with the show, I'm going to start downloading demos. And I'm going to figure out how good this kid really is. And you go and pivot your pick to him, you dickhead.
Yeah, I'm going to pivot my pick to him. He looked like Northern Lights played this event this week. It was not his first HLTV game he's played before, but he is the same age as Male09. He's been around for, I would say, almost as long. He's been hanging around, but like lower ranked teams. He's played a lot on this Northern Lights team, which I think is like there is an org behind it, but it's not like a company. Like they're not paying money. It's just like tournament fees and stuff. They play the Elite Series. They don't really do that well, but they've strengthened the team with Frank and Snow and some other Sham as well, like old Young Gods players, and they've done really solid because they came out and they beat Lil Mix. Fair win. It's like a domestic matchup. Mines was really big in that game. They then take a map in overtime against Medisport. Again, Mines 30 bomb on a 16-13 against Medisport, who just made the major. And then they play a 1-2 against Viperio, who were playing with 2 Swedes to make it into this VRS ranked event, farming VRS points, and having a chance at qualifying for Eliza. And again, he was good. He kind of disappeared on the final map, though, where they got absolutely dumpstered by Dest, who seems to have really stepped up again after you did the Prospects demos where you said he wasn't that good. He seems to really have kept going. Yeah, I'm going to pivot here, and Mines is my actual prospect.
Yeah, man, he's really good playing random kids I've never heard of from Sweden. Like, he's an absolute monster playing random kids I've never heard of from Sweden. It's a shame I watch games where he's playing people I have heard of, not specifically from Sweden, and they're shit. So
you've never been good at spotting talents further down in the scene, so...
No, that's true. That's true. None of my prospects have ever gone on to do anything. I only pick the donks and the Kyosuke's of the world.
Yep. I don't have much in a read on Mines. Like people just say he's really good, and I watch him, and he gets the frags. I haven't taken the time to watch him with the eye where you would figure out he's smart, he's good aim, whatever. But he's good. He's one for the future. I think similar to Male09, just by being here this early, he's already got the advantage that even if he's not the next donk, he's going to be talked about in 3 years. So he's going to be around. So, yeah. Solid job and good event. Like Medisport were supposed to sweep this group, and they won, but it wasn't that easy. And that was largely Mines' doing, and all the other guys as well. I like all the other guys as well.
Okay, so it's Mines and also everyone. Okay.
Just, it's not just, it wasn't a Mines hard carry. Maybe statistically it was, but I think everybody put in a really solid level.
And against Medisport, bloody hell. The one map they win in OT, he drops 30. That's obviously a demo I'm going to be watching. There's just no two.
Hell yeah, do it. It was a really good. I think Medisport was on map point as well, and then they closed it into overtime.
Mm.
Yeah, they had 12-10, and then it was overtime. So go watch it.
Yeah, I will be. But yeah, all right. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far on the VOD, you're a legend. But yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in live. I think we hit like 66 peak concurrents, which is maybe our new best. I don't think we've ever been that high, which is awesome. Yes, thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Nice.
Hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, we'll see you next week with another retake. But all right, that's all for this one. Goodbye.